Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be reacting to 21 Pilots Neon Gravestones. Going to have to stop quite a bit on the way through this because, as you all know, 21 Pilots label does not like to share. Before we get started, we got to pay the bills. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, make a comment, hit that notification bell, tell your friends. Doing all these things will help the algorithm bring my content to more users, and I appreciate that. All right, 21 Pilots Neon Gravestones, let's get going. Alright, so first off, I see I'm a big fan of piano. I have a great love for the piano. It's this specific sound of the piano has a liking to almost like a Moonlight Sonata type sound, but it sounds to me like the beat was just dropping just as I backed that up. So let's take it back 5 seconds, enjoy the piano sound, and see where he goes with it. So listening to the drumming, I think you guys told me that Josh is the drummer's name, Tyler is his name. So Josh, the drummer, man, he's got some of these 16th notes or 30, maybe even 32nd notes that he kind of sticks in there that you can't really hear, but it adds to the percussion. That's really nice. That I really dig that.
My problem, well I want you to follow me down to the bottom, underneath the insane asylum. Keep your wits about you while you got them, cause your wits are first to go while you're problem solving. And my problem, we glorify those even more when they, my opinion, our culture can treat us.
So he's talking about going underneath the insane asylum. That's kind of deep if you think about it, because number one, I don't have like the full-on history of insane asylums in my head, but from what I understand, insane asylums from back in the day is that they were used for testing on these people. So they were used almost for lab rat, which means that anybody going down into the basement, there's a good chance they weren't coming back. I don't know if you've seen any videos. You could probably YouTube any of those and find out all these stories about these basements of these insane asylums where they were just mass graves because they were just, electrocuting, and they're doing these weird tests on these people. So it's one thing to go to an insane asylum, but then going to the basement of the insane asylum is crazy to me. I'm having a hard time pronouncing the word insane asylum, so much so that the dog is up and ready to go. What are you looking at, Javi? Oh, kids. All right, let's go. Back it up a little bit because we want to start the beginning of that part again.
By those even more when they, my opinion, our culture can treat a loss like it's a win, and right before we turn on them, we give them the highest of praise and hang the banner from a ceiling, communicating further.
Wow, that's deep. I don't know his political leaning affiliation, but one of the things that I've noticed is there's extreme rights and there's extreme lefts, and it's really hard to determine which one's an extreme right and which one's an extreme left. Historically, extreme lefts wanted to keep slaves, extreme rights wanted to free slaves. It's kind of flipped now to where the talking of that extreme rights is the ones that are basically racist, bigot, homophobe types, and then the extreme lefts are the opposite of that. Except for the fact that the left, the far left, is taking steps or trying to take steps into going back into what it was like before. I don't just know that they see that. Well, let's back it up, because what I feel like what he's talking about here is that there's steps that they're taking that are having the wrong effect. All intents and purposes, intentions are good, but there's a wrong effect. So let me back that up to just rehear it.
My opinion, our culture can treat a loss like it's a win, and right before
right there. All culture can treat a loss like it's a win. This is a very touchy subject, and I know that there's going to be a lot of triggered people on that, so trigger warning now. There is a condition, apparently. This is an official condition. I don't know what the authority is that, the psychiatric association of doctors or whatever that thing is that they had said. The condition is, it's a medical condition that you don't feel like you're in the right body. Like you should be I'm a woman, but I feel like I should be a man, or I'm a man, I feel like I should be a woman. So my gender is what I decide it is. And if you could separate sex and gender, whatever, it's just semantics. It's a word. It doesn't make any difference. If you're saying your gender is male, but your sex is female, let's find some common ground. But what I'm seeing is that there's a true mental degradation where there is or something that can be helped, where people believe there's something they're not. I mean, if you saw a person walking around that actually truly believed that they were a dinosaur, you'd say, you need some help, brother. So that's kind of what they're saying, is that they're or at least I don't know if he's saying that, but the way I interpret that is people saying that they have a mental disability by suggesting that they don't have a gender or whatever. But instead of us saying, hey, there is a society, this is okay society-wise, that you shouldn't tell people that they're bad people or have brain functionality problems because they believe this. We should just accept that. And it's moving into pedophilia. You could see it all over the news these days, that people are trying to normalize the fact that people are sick, twisted human beings, probably through no fault of their own. They're just having some mental issues. And we're normalizing that, saying that, hey, it's not fair to pedophiles to not love who they love. If we're going to allow gay people to love who they love, and we're going to allow straight people to love who they love, why shouldn't we allow, grown men to love child? You see where it's a slippery slope. Not saying that it's wrong or right. I'm just saying that there's a potential mental problem that we should look into, rather than dismissing it. If it's scientifically proven that there's no mental problem, then fine. But if you truly believe that you're a dinosaur, we can't normalize that. I mean, you can't normalize that. Hey, you know what? I pretend. What's the word where I identify as a 65 and 9 month old person, so therefore I should get Social Security and retirement, and I can retire. Yes, sir, but you're only younger than that. I won't tell you how old I am. You're all younger than it. No, that's not how I necessarily identify as, and it's stupid. That just doesn't make any sense. You either are or you aren't. I call you she all day long. If you're a he, but if you want to be called she, I'll call you she. I got no problem with that. But we can't ignore the potential problems that come with that. I'll probably cut all that out because trigger warning, and they'll probably block me. Whatever.
My opinion, our culture can treat a loss like it's a win, and right before we turn on them, we give them the highest of praise and hang the banner from a ceiling. Communicating further, engraving an earlier grave is an optional way. No.
Talking about suicide again, it's we praise them until we don't praise them, and you see this a lot. The cancel culture. Everybody's on the same team, and yay, everybody that's pro this and anti that, and then we'll just cancel everybody that's anti that until we don't have any more anti that people to cancel. So then we have to shift to the people that are on our side and start canceling them, and then your Overton window just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until really the only person you have left is Jack Dorsey, and everybody else is canceled. God help us.
Neon gravestones try to call. Neon gravestones try to call for my bones. Call.
I really like the a chill vibe. Kind of have this background, calm. I think it's cool to chill with.
What's my problem? Don't get it twisted. It's with the people we praise who may have assisted. I could use the streams and extra conversations. I could give up and boost up my reputation.
Man, somebody's got to tell me, what his background is on society, because I'm feeling the same thing. I know that, he talks a lot about suicide and, and that mental problems, with mental health issues and stuff like that. But he's speaking so, and maybe I'm focused politically, and maybe he's not talking politically, and my focus is political. So, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. Yeah, just let me know what his political thoughts are, if he has any, because the words are really speaking politics, and it's almost like a right-leaning thought process.
What's my problem? Don't get it twisted. It's with the people we praise who may have assisted. I could use a street.
Right now, it's the same thing. It's like, and again, it's a viewpoint. It's a worldview. But everything that I see from my worldview, that's happening generally through these people that bark the loudest. Whether or not all the left thinks like this, but those that bark the loudest are the ones you hear, and that is that we're praising these people that are absolutely have zero interest in doing anything to help the people. It's like either they don't care or they just don't really understand the impact of what they're suggesting.
Dreams and extra conversations. I could give up and boost up my reputation. I could go out with a bang. They would know my name. They would host and post a celebration. My opinion will not be lenient. My opinion, it's real convenient. Our words are loud, but now I'm talking action. We don't get enough love, well, they get a fraction.
I guess that's one of my downfalls. Probably why I get so much hate in the comments, is because my opinion is my opinion, and thankfully we're still, at least for the time being, in a free community or free world or free country, and I can have my opinion even if it doesn't match yours. That's one of the wonderful things about being free, is that my opinion doesn't have to match yours. That's exactly why we call them opinions. Could you imagine if what you believe would be taken away from you just because it was your opinion? Flip the script. Understand how you're treating people and ask yourself if you want to be treated that way.
They say, how could he go if he's got everything? I'll mourn for a kid, but won't cry for a king. Neon gravestones try to call. Neon gravestones try to call for my bones. Call. Promise me that.
Is it saying neon gravestones try to call for me? Call? Neon graves. There's something missing here. What are the neon gravestones? Are these like Hollywood? Like I was talking before, these loud talkers that don't necessarily have the same views as the general public. One thing to think about is that, and I say it before, like I've tried to work to get myself off of Facebook and move to different apps, because what I'm seeing is I'm trying to move myself off Twitter. I'm trying to move myself off of anything related to Google, which is YouTube. So basically I'm trying to move all of my stuff that was either on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube to MeWe, Rumble, and Parler, because I don't know, it's just my opinion is my opinion, and if it doesn't match the opinion of the owner of the company, then they have the ability and the power right now to silence those people. And that's why you see these big, Silicon Valley, they have a stronghold on those locations to be able to, for lack of a better term, brainwash their users. So I see it all the time, and maybe I'm the one being brainwashed, but I can't see that. What I do see is other people being brainwashed to listen to ridiculous things and speak it as truth. And people are saying, you don't get to have your free speech if your free speech is hateful. I mean, I'm not saying hateful is a good thing, but yes, I do. I can, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. That's been the truth from the beginning of time. I'm sorry if you don't like what I'm saying. Go listen to somebody else. Let's be clear right now. If you're listening to this right now and you don't like my opinion and you think that I should be canceled because you don't like my opinion, just leave. I don't want you here. If you don't like my opinion, but you agree that I have the option to have free speech, then please stay and we can have conversations. If you can prove to me or you can show to me where my opinion is flawed, I am open to listening to you. But if you start a conversation with you should be canceled and I want to kill your family kind of a thing, then I don't need you. I don't need you here. So anyway, let's pay attention to my youngest daughter there. Hi, creepy. Next thing you need is a Michael Myers mask to come to the window. You want to come over and say hi? All right, come on. Just come over here and speak into that and say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Well, they won't see you till later because I have to edit the video, but I'll make sure I edit you right into it. All right, I gotta finish. Love you. All right, I got interrupted by my daughter, so let's figure out where we're at now. Sorry.
Call, promise me this. If I lose to myself, you want more today, and you move on to someone else. Promise me this. If I lose to myself, you want more today, and you move on to someone else.
Is he talking about an individual, like a lady friend, or something else?
You want more today, and you move on to someone else.
I really like that sound, that background sound. It's got like a drum machine. It's got this sound in the background, kind of like you would hear if you went into like tunnel at Disney World or something like that, where they have all of this kind of music and this ambiance playing.
Neon gravestones try to call. Neon gravestones try to call for my bones. Neon gravestones try to call.
Neon gravestones? Calling him? Yeah, somebody's going to have to explain the neon gravestones part to me.
Neon gravestones try to call for my bones. They won't get 'em. No, they won't get 'em. They won't get 'em. But they won't get 'em. Don't get me wrong, the rise in awareness is beating a stigma that no longer scares us. But for sake of discussion and spirit of fairness, could we give this some room for a new...
Gosh, this is... So to me, I don't even want to talk about a politically affiliation. So let's get politics out of him from now on. This seems to me like a general concern. Like, it doesn't matter what side you're on. This should scare you that people are out there trying to... Maybe I'm completely off on this entire song, but I feel like it's almost like... It's like cancel. It's talking about cancel culture in the sense of, if you believe something different than I believe, then you're out. So it doesn't even make any sense. So politics aside, if you had a, all right, let's talk about it this way. If you had a best friend, and you guys are just hanging out, or even family member, close family members, you spend a lot of time together, and then you found out that that family member liked the color blue, what in the world is wrong with that guy? Blue is a terrible color. Why would you like blue? We can't be friends anymore. If you're not going to like red, red has to be your favorite color. Blue is a bad color. And if you associate with blue, then we can't be friends. Forget about the fact that you are a good guy. Blue is not. And because you like blue, we can't be friends. That's how ridiculous it sounds when you say anybody who voted for Donald Trump can't be my friend. Why? Because they have a different opinion than you? Oh! Fucking stupid.
Point of view, and could it be true that some could be tempted to use this mistake as a form of aggression, a form of succession, a form of a weapon, thinking I'll teach them? Well, I'm refusing the lesson. It won't resonate in our minds. I'm not disrespecting what was left behind, just pleading that it does not get glorified. Maybe we swap out what it is that we hold so high. Find your grandparents or someone of age. Pay some respects for the path that they paved, to life they were dedicated.
Oh my goodness gracious. I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos. I don't even remember which one it was, to be honest with you. But one of the big points that I made in that video is that it's important. At the end of it, I actually played a clip of my grandfather talking to me. This is, pretty close to when he died. And I was recording his conversation. And his conversation wasn't anything insightful or crazy like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't know that. It was just a conversation about his experiences. And it's interesting to me to know that. But this part of this song, he was talking about his horses and how he used to ride his horse with a carriage during the winter times. And he would go around town, he'd pick up his buddies, and they would just ride around town with this horse and carriage in the wintertime. And it was just a wonderful memory for him. And it just kind of talks to us about simpler times, or at least to me, about how we're so concerned about how many clicks we get, how many views we get, that we don't sit down and just, go out into the yard and do snow angels. And I was watching my daughter play softball, which, she's really good at softball. She played for a local college in Southern Maryland. I was so wrapped up in trying to record everything that I actually kind of missed watching the game. So there were several games that I would just not record or not take pictures on or whatever, and not watch her at bat. We tried to record her at bat so she could find out where she was making her mistakes and stuff like that, but I wasn't able to enjoy it at the time. So, that's kind of off track, but specifically for what he's talking about is finding somebody that's old and then having a conversation with them. Be respectful to them. Help them with their groceries. Have a conversation with them. Me and I'll play the rest of the song out and then I'll talk about that.
I get glorified. Maybe we swap out what it is that we hold so high. Find your grandparents or someone of age. Pay some respects for the path that they paved, to life they were dedicated. Now that should be celebrated.
One production thing I want to point out at the end of that, and that was the sound of him turning off the recording or getting up or walking towards the thing. I kind of like that. It's so subtle and unnoticeable that but enough that it was left in. So there was a conscious decision to leave that in. Yeah, no, I kind of dug that. So back to the conversation about finding your grandparents or someone of age. We were out to eat the other night. We had some gift cards sitting around, so we had to drop my car off at the shop. So we decided to go to Longhorn to eat. And we were sitting there, and for the most part, my kids are well behaved. They have their moments, but for the most part, they're well behaved. So what happened was we were sitting there eating, getting ready to. Well, we ordered, and we're waiting at the table talking, having conversations about what's going on during the day. And truly, whenever the kids get a little bit antsy, and sometimes that happens, it's easier to just stick a phone in front of them and say, hey, watch this. And we do that. I do that. I'm not going to say they're not going to do that, but mostly because what I don't want to do is go out someplace and be a burden to anybody else there. So if I can keep my kids from being annoying by putting a phone in front of them for a couple of minutes just to settle them down, because usually what happens was they'll get settled down, they'll come down because they have something going on, and then I can engage in conversation with them, and they'll eventually put the phone down, and then we'll be able to have a conversation. Anyway, this lady comes up and almost basically just started crying, she was an older lady, and she was just telling us, well, first of all, she came to us and said, I can tell that you're a nice Christian family, even though there was nothing going on that would have suggested that. But she was right. I don't know about nice, but we're a Christian family in the sense of, prior to COVID, we were going to church every Sunday, and we try to instill that stuff into our children. But she noticed, as an older person, just based on our behavior, that is probably a likelihood that's something that we did. And maybe that's a stereotype, I don't know. But she was right, so it has to be at least be great odds. But she ended up starting to cry a little bit, and my kids were asking after she had walked off. Basically she was crying because, she was happy that there are still good Christian families out there, and that she spends a lot of her time, because she's alone, but she spends a lot of her time with her girlfriend, and they go out to eat quite an awful lot, so they get to witness this kind of stuff. So anyway, it meant a lot to me specifically to say that, despite me feeling like I failed sometimes, I am that guy that puts the phone in front of their kid to hush them up. I am that guy that probably gives my kids a little bit too many snacks. I am that guy that makes a dinner that's different for every one of my kids and my wife. Because it's, as long as they're getting the nutrition that they're supposed to get, it shouldn't matter. And then if I have to spend a couple of extra minutes to give them what they want, then I'm going to do that. Because the alternative is to give them something they don't want and then badger them until they eat it. I'll pick my battles, you know what I'm saying? I'll pick my battles. So the kids asked why she was crying. Was she sad? And I said, no, she was just happy. She was happy. And they said, oh, it was tears of joy. And I said, yeah. She goes, well, what was she so happy about? And she said, and I explained to them that it's just unusual for a family that like ours to be able to go someplace and behave. And it's so unusual these days that the older generation really, really, really enjoys that. Now, I get people all the time coming up into restaurants telling me how well behaved my kids are, usually the older generation. I don't know. Spend some time talking with an older generation. Even if they're not talking about anything super insightful, kind of try to understand what they're talking about. Like with my grandfather and his horse and carriage, and just riding around with no social media. Back when my grandfather was growing up, if you had a horse, even, and you weren't walking, it's kind of like these days where, you're 16 years old and you got yourself a car. He's 16 years old and he got himself a horse. It's truth. So, anyway, 21 Pilots, Neon Gravestones. Unbelievable song. I really dug it. I'm going to have to listen to it again. I talked an awful lot, so I stopped an awful lot because album issues, but I really enjoyed the song, and I kind of want to listen to it all the way through without stopping. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. You've been here a really long time. So make sure you check out my link tree in the description. It's links to my Patreon and my Venmo if you want to show your support that way. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Take care. God bless.